Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Tiffany Benson, one part of Team Benson, and today I'm going to be talking about why I prune my tomatoes like that. So first guys, I would like to just say thank you guys for all subscribing to my channel and all the new subscribers that we have. I'm Tiffany. I grow a small space desert garden here in the lovely state of Arizona. So I have a really hot, high temperature garden at times. Other times it's beautiful. But we are going to be announcing our next giveaway once we hit 3,000 subscribers. So I think I might do a live to announce it because we have like a sponsor and everything. But if not, I will do a video to announce it. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you are not already subscribed, and if you have, tell a friend and let them know that, you know, I'm out here in the desert gardening. So let's talk about tomatoes and why I prune mine like this. So if you go into my garden, you will see that the very top has fruits and leaves, but the very bottoms are completely naked and usually one stem. This one completely naked, but I forgot to one stem it. But once again, the top, we'll go past the shade cloth, has all of the leaves and the fruit. Even my smaller cherry tomatoes all have just leaves and fruit at the top, and even my bush tomatoes have no leaves at the bottom and just a little bit of, they have more leaves in the middle, but that's because they only get to a certain height, but still no leaves at the bottom. So why would I do that to my tomato plants? One, I grow in a very, very small space. So being able to compact a lot of plants together means you have to prune those plants so that then there is airflow within the plant. So in this bed here, I have squash, which is going to get super huge and probably take up until where that first layer of leaves are. And then I also have 2 tomato plants in here. And if we go over to this bed, I have a giant cherry tomato, and I also have okra down at the bottom. If you guys watched some of my past videos, when this tomato plant was getting really big, I also had broccoli down below it. So having all of that compacted into a small space, you want to make sure that you are keeping up with the pruning. Otherwise, you will invite a lot of pests into your garden and possibly a lot of disease and funguses into your garden too, just because the garden doesn't have any airflow. Now, if you are pruning your plants and you think, oh my goodness, I just went way too far, don't worry, don't freak out. As long as you don't cut off the crown, the plant will continue to grow. And as long as you keep a couple of leaves to where it can photosynthesize, then it will grow back. So any leaves that you do cut off, the plant will produce more little suckers for it to grow back. So don't ever worry if you think you've cut off too many leaves. The other reason why I do it is because blight, which we're talking about disease, but blight is real when it comes to tomato plants. I do have a little bit of blight on this big one up at the top, which I'll be able to show you guys. But once you get a hold of it and your plants are nice and pruned, it's easy just to prune off any plants that might, or any leaves that might get infected with blight. But keeping it really pruned at the bottom kind of gives your plant a really good start to not having to fight those diseases early, because when you're watering and the leaves get soaking wet, then usually that's when it starts really inviting blight into it. Now I do take worm tea and I do spray all of my plants usually every season so that they do get like that protective layer of just like good bacteria on them. But regular water I don't want just to be soaking on my leaves, so I do take that part off. So now let's look at how I'm pruning these. So let's take a look at this one. Now what I try and do is I try to single stem my plants, meaning I have one stem that is pretty much the lead stem that's going to be producing all of the fruit. Now I prune it all the way up into that first fruiting set, which will be this one right here on this new little press kit. And then as you can see, it's going to be a fruiting set, a leaf, and then a leaf, and then a sucker, and then a leaf, and then a fruiting set. So this sucker will grow into a whole nother main stem. So when it comes to single stemming your plants, you want to make sure that you get rid of these suckers, because if you don't, they will turn into something like this. This was originally a sucker. As you can see right here where I cut off the stem or the leaf, this was the sucker, and it grew all the way into that greatness. Now I like to keep at least 2 to 3 suckers. As you can see, this one has one and this one has another one. I swear, sometimes gardening in the city just equals a ton of motorcycles going down your street all at once. So when I'm pruning it, I do like to keep at least 2 to 3 suckers, but that is because I only have so many tomato plants that I can put in my yard. So keeping 2 to 3 of those suckers and letting them grow is going to give me another vine that can produce tomatoes, because only those main vines will produce the tomato flower sets. So we'll go back to this one and I'll show you up close what I plan to do for this one. So since this sucker is now at a decent height, I'm actually going to keep this one. All of the ones below it I did cut off. This is a little sucker trying to come in, so I will go ahead and just pinch that off. And then this one I will keep to produce another vine that will give me more tomatoes. So just to show you guys, at the very top, this is your crown, and this is what's going to continue to grow your plant. If you cut this off, it will stop growing from this area, and then it will be depending on one of the suckers in order to grow it a little bit higher. So I'm actually going to leave this sucker, and I'm going to leave this sucker, and then all the other suckers I will cut off until it gets probably about here. So one disease you will see a lot in tomato plants is blight. It's pretty much just a fungus that affects your leaves. Now, it's a lot easier to go in and cut off just these leaves that are affected. Right now I have 3 that are affected. I can just go ahead, cut those off, and the plant will continue to be healthy. Now, the other thing that's going to make you have successful tomatoes, growing tomatoes successfully in the desert, is timing. You want to make sure you get your tomatoes in the ground in the fall. Now, it is going to be a pain in the butt to cover them if it gets too cold. All you do is cover them with some tarp. Now, living in the city, so I'm in zone 9B, it's not going to get like freezing cold. And if it does get freezing, it's only going to be freezing for maybe like an hour, and it'll be like 34 degrees. It won't get down to like 20s or anything like that. So during that time, you do just want to take a tarp and cover those tomato plants. Now, it will be a pain in the butt to have to go back and cover your tomato plants, but it will produce nice, beautiful tomatoes come spring, and then you can have a spring harvest of tomatoes. You can plant more of the tomatoes in the spring and then have tomatoes in the summer. So that will give you 2 chances to have nice, beautiful tomatoes. Now, this was something that took a while for me to figure out, so I can tell you that it is a hack. Just trust me. Plant your tomatoes in October and then just get some tarp. They have it at the Dollar Tree, and just cover it, and you'll be just fine. So I hope that gives you some great tips on how to take care of your tomato plants, how to prune your tomato plants, and how to grow nice, beautiful tomato plants here in the Arizona desert. But until next time, make sure you guys grow yourselves a garden, because even a small space can provide you with tons of food. Bye guys.